So coming off a huge PR weekend, like what do you even think about them? I mean, they're pretty freaking awesome. That's my main thought. And I didn't even know how huge my total PR was until after the meet. I didn't even know what my total was until I looked at the board. I didn't even know what my total PR was until I started doing math. And I think my success over the past couple meets has been my shift in mindset and not necessarily worrying about that, but taking what's there on the given day and knowing that Max is gonna put on the bar what I can do that day, what he believes I can do that day, and what I need. The two PRs I'm most proud of, without a doubt, are my squat and my deadlift. I knew after my opening squat at 177.5 that it was gonna be a good day. I just didn't know how great. When I took that third squat, I took it a little bit too low, which I have a tendency to do, and I did at Nats. The only difference between my third attempt at Nats and this attempt is I stayed in my legs and I trusted that once they caught up, I was going to make this lift. And I grinded through that squat, and it's really the first squat that I have been able to grind through by staying in position and just being confident that the strength is there. Deadlift, I mean, one, didn't know it was on the bar until the announcer said 413, and that I was like, oh boy, here we go. But I knew a couple of things. I knew that if it was on the bar, it was there because Max thought I could do it, and that there was some reason it was likely on the bar. I also think it's funny that Max and Brian, my husband who's in the back, said the same thing to me separately. Just keep pulling, it will break, and then it's yours. So I got out to that bar. I was the most confident I've ever been deadlifting, and in every part of my body, I believed that was going to be my third deadlift, that was gonna be my PR deadlift before I even set up. And the difference now is that every part of my body believes that I will wait for that to break the floor, and I'm trying 100%. And once it breaks the floor, it's mine. And it's pretty cool to know that. I pulled for probably 3 seconds before it broke, and I knew from there was no question it was gonna be 3 white lights. My bench was the most surprising. Not that I'm not proud of my bench, but it's definitely the most surprising, and it was like kind of easy, which sounds weird, I know, because it was a huge PR and it was my third attempt, but it's exciting. Like, I've never had a third attempt bench that I've never had to grind through before, and it's exciting that I hit 117.5. It wasn't a grind, and I'm pretty excited to see what happens in June with my bench. So bench is something for me that's taken off in the past year, which is really cool, and it's a combination of I absolutely have more upper body muscle mass, and I'm able to stay tighter throughout my bench and create a more stable platform for me to press off of. And bench is one of the only ones that I literally queue up in my head, even on max lifts. So I'll kind of walk you through my thought process when I am benching. So when I get down on the bench, I do use the uprights. I'm trying to get my shoulder blades back down and get my chest up as high as I can, and then I want to keep it there. So even as I get into my arch position and put my butt down on the bench, I want my chest to stay up as high as possible. I do a self unrack, so I'll line my hands up and I keep my butt off the bench while I'm unracking. When I do unrack and I'll put my butt back down on the bench, I will shift again and retighten my lats to again pop my chest up to make sure if I've lost any height, I get it back before I start my bench. When I put my butt down, I'm thinking about squeezing my butt as hard as I possibly can. This definitely helps me to remember leg drive. It also helps me keep my butt on the bench. When I get my start command, I'm thinking about staying active and pulling the bar towards me. So I'm almost thinking about bending the bar, externally rotating, pulling the bars towards me, so my lats are staying under tension the whole entire time as I come down to my chest. When I do come down to my chest and I'm waiting for that press command, which everyone's waiting for as quickly as possible, my goal is to stay as tight as possible, but I'm gonna do that by, I don't wanna rest the weight on my body, I want to hold the weight. So I never want to stop being active throughout my bench press. So my goal is to touch my chest but be holding the weight, so literally just touching my singlet. When I get the press command, I definitely think back towards my head, and I also think about squeezing the bar as tight as I possibly can while I'm driving the bar up. It didn't happen last weekend, which is pretty cool, but when I do get to my max, my right side is weaker, so generally it lags behind my left side, and squeezing the bar as tight as I can has helped me make sure my left arm doesn't dip back down while my right arm is still working. So things you don't see on the platform. Thursday night, warming up for weightlifting. I was feeling really good. I had a great training cycle in terms of consistency of makes for weightlifting. And I'm warming up, I get to my last warm up, 70 was my last warm up. I take it and I miss. The first one I missed forward, and I remember standing up and just a pit sinking in my stomach. I hadn't had too many bad snatch days this training cycle, but when I do, it's really hard for me to come back at it mentally, and I honestly don't remember the last time I missed 70 in training. And this pit sank in my stomach, and I was like, where do I go from here? I don't know what to do now. So I took a step back, came back up, took it again, and I missed. And this time it was even worse. And I remember looking up at Max, like deer in the headlights. What do I do? I don't know what to do now. It's funny, I have a lot of experience competing, but in powerlifting, you're not missing warm-ups. So this was a brand new experience for me, and my lack of experience in weightlifting and with this happening definitely showed. And I just remember at one point in time saying, I will make one of these 3 attempts. I am not going to bomb out. The goal completely changed from crushing snatches after a really great training cycle to I just don't want to bomb out. And all of the confidence I had was gone. And ironically, I made one of 3 snatches.